Back at it again. Welcome back to another edition of the All Access Football Podcast live stream show. Wherever you are dialed in, we're going to bring you another hour of power right here. Our first show of the new year here on this January 2nd, 2025. We are ready, roaring, ready to go. 112 days to the 2025 NFL draft. We're going to talk about it, break it down, the college football playoff. We got some fantastic games. We've got another game today. Definitely want to send our condolences down there to the folks down in New Orleans. Just a terrible, terrible, tragic event. What happened, a catastrophe. And, we hope for better for 2025, but that does give us the Fighting Irish and Georgia Bulldogs. We'll talk about that game a little bit later in the show. I want to get right into it, man. It might as well just be called the Cam Scatterboo Show. Boo-boo, are you crazy? I mean, this guy, it's just unbelievable. I wrote about it at the allaccessfootball.com newsletter that went out to the masses today. Did Cam Scatterboo just play himself into running back one for the draft? Call me crazy, but I said it. It's not too far-fetched to think, because if you watched Ashton Jeanty against Penn State, which, oh, by the way, was the first real defense he faced all season long, the first real defense with dudes on it, and we saw the tires were in the mud there with Ashton Jeanty. It's all fine and dandy when you beat up the Mountain West and run wild for 2,500 yards, but let me ponder this question. How many yards would Cam Scatterboo have running against the Mountain West schedule? Are you kidding me? Boise State, which, by the way, I did the power rankings every week for the whole season. I think they climbed as high as 15 or 16 for me, maybe right around there. I never saw them as a top-notch caliber team. And I think Penn State handled them easily. And that's what happens when you play big boy football. And, I'm going to say two things that are true, and they might contradict each other. I think Ashton Jeanty will be the highest drafted running back since Saquon Barkley, but I don't think he's better than a Bijan Robinson. I don't think he's better than a Jamar Gibbs. And I've got a question now, when you average 7 yards per carry on the year against the Mountain West, and then Penn State holds you to 3.5 yards per carry, and you can't get your tires out of the mud, is that some foreshadowing? I don't know. I gotta at least consider or weight that accordingly. Whereas Cam Scatterboo, that guy, I don't have any question about what he's going to do at the next level. Zero questions at all. In fact, that guy, if it wasn't for a non-targeting call at the end of the game there, Arizona State would be advancing to the next round because of Cam Scatterboo single-handedly putting the Sun Devils on their back, along with Jake Plummer, which was great to see, our old buddy on the sidelines, by the way, put the Sun Devils on his back ran through the Longhorns defense. And, let's be honest, it was a pedestrian first half. You saw the frustration, but that's what I love about Cam Scatterbo, like the character, the leadership, getting in guys' faces, the accountability. Like, we didn't come here to just roll over like the Oregon Ducks did. Right? Like, he was in dudes' faces. He was yakking on the sideline. This guy gave it everything he got. That Texas Longhorns defense is full of Sunday dudes. Every single guy. That was the big talk. Texas in the trenches. They're built strong up front. Cam Scatterbo said, hold my beer, my friends. 143 yards on the ground. Did we mention 99 yards through the air? I mean, catching the ball out of the backfield. Like, this dude might be the best receiving running back in the draft. And oh, by the way, just for good measure, let me get out the old dipsy do dunker. Let me throw a little 42-yard touchdown pass for you, NFL scouts. You like that? You like that? I mean, this guy basically ran through, around, over. Cam Scatterbo put on a performance for the ages, and I've got a question now whether he is the running back one of the NFL draft. That's why I love these bowl games. That's why I love the college football playoff season. The cream always rises to the top, and we saw that in the Sugar Bowl, and it was sweet, man. It was sweet to see, and I would have liked to see Arizona State advance because Steve Sarkisian in a big game. I just, I don't know. I just don't know. Man, Cam Scatterbo is the real deal. I'll be honest, like, I did an early film eval on him in the beginning of the season, and I just said, yeah, I'll slap a third-round grade on him. I don't really know what his speed is. And I think that's the only legitimate question now at this point is, what's he going to run at the combine? I don't care. Could care less. I'll tell you what, though. Like, he could go on. Remember McCaffrey at the combine when McCaffrey ran the wide receiver routes? I mean, that was amazing. I think Cam Scatterbo could go out there and wow. I look for him to carry this momentum into the draft season, into the combine. Oh, and we'll see him down in Mobile at the Senior Bowl. Woo-wee! That's going to be exciting. So buckle up for that. That's about all I have to say about the Arizona State Sun Devils because it is him. He himself and I, Cam Scatterbo, welcoming in the new year. Hello, how you doing? And I'll tell you another thing, like you see the teams that have gone on to the postseason, a lot of them have strong ground games. The teams that were willing to pay in free agency for guys like Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs and Derrick Henry, you can have a stud here and you don't have to pay so dearly. You can have a guy here that you can plug and play and be an impact dude. That is Cam Scatterbo. Okay. Now, let's talk about some of these Texas Longhorns because a lot of those guys do have a future on Sunday. And one of those guys that we're wondering about is Quinn Ewers. What's going on? In this new NIL transfer portal era, we've got some backdoor shenanigans going on. And I saw my good friend Jimmy Moore up there at UConn calling out some teams. Shout out to UConn that put the smackdown on the Tar Heels in the bowl game. And then Jim Moore had some words to say about the tampering going on with his program and these blue blood schools shelling out these. And, there's guys like at UConn that are playing and all over these bowl games. They play in the bowl game. They try to drive up their value in the transfer portal. I mean, it is modern day free agency. And if you don't believe me, then go look at what pops up when you Google Quinn Ewers' name. You're not going to find the Sugar Bowl. You're going to find $6 million NIL transfer portal deal, unnamed team. Give me a break. This is all orchestrated, fellas, by the agents, right? This is what we've become accustomed to now in the modern day college football landscape is free agency. And we talked about it at the allaccessfootball.com newsletter. If you've been keeping tabs, we talked about this. Quinn Ewers, it's funny, like he's going to play Ohio State now, but he might be suiting up for them again next year. The word on the street. Might be heading back to Columbus. Wait a second. No, it could be Oregon. Who's putting that out there? The agent. He's trying to drive up the price for Quinn Ewers. And quite honestly, I think $6 million is quite low. And didn't Arch Manning make that this year as his backup? You know? And so, like, Quinn Ewers, I don't know. Like, there's this talk now that Oregon, behind Phil Knight, raised all this new NIL money, like $30 million. Phil Knight donated to the NIL. Gee, I wonder if Oregon could be the school maybe that's throwing 6 million reasons to come to Eugene. And it would make sense. It would make sense. Look what they did for Bo Nix. Look what they did for Dylan Gabriel. But I don't know. Quinn Ewers, where's he going? I don't know. He's trying to win a national championship, or he's trying to drive up his price. Like, these are the things. That's why I'm uneasy about Texas against Ohio State, because these are the type of distractions. Like, they're not there, but they're there. You feel me? Because, like, this could be a 5-minute call with the agent. Hey, I'm talking to so-and-so school. They're offering this. Would you go here? End the call. But those are the conversations that tend to weigh on the mind when you're sitting in your hotel room trying to break down film, and then suddenly, all these thoughts come in the back of your mind. He's 22 years old. I expect him to be distracted. I'm just saying, like, Ohio State is a team on a mission. Whew. And I'll eat my crow right here, because I went on the Sports Rage and was ready to throw dirt on the grave of the one Ryan Day after the loss, the debacle against Michigan. But I tell you what, man, it's how you respond in the face of adversity. And these Buckeyes will pow, 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 punched it in the mouth, man. And I'll tell you what, if they get out to a fast start again against Texas, like they did to Oregon and Tennessee, watch out. I've got to say, NFL draft talk aside, that the Ohio State Buckeyes got to be hands down the favorite now to win the national championship. And I hate to just look right past the Longhorns, but I am. And I'm saying that Ohio State's going to play the winner of today's game between Georgia and Notre Dame. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. We've got some good NFL draft talk. I want to get into a little bit of the Fiesta Bowl before we take a break. Ashton Jeanty, okay, we talked about how does he stack up against Cam Skattebo, and I might be out on an island here, but like if I'm starting a team right now, whoo, it's a tough call. Like I do believe in a lot of other elements that go into the equation, such as character, personality. I'd love to sit down and talk to these young men and get to know them, know their entourage, their families, who they surround themselves with. That all goes into the draft evaluation. But man, just from a performance standpoint, zero questions about Cam Skattebo. A little question about Ashton Jeanty. I just don't think that we've maybe put him on this pedestal. Then he might come back down to earth when he plays on Sundays. That's all I'm saying, guys. All right. In terms of other players in that Fiesta Bowl, like to me, Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton were the best two running backs in that game. These guys, and Singleton to me was a guy I expected big things from, but then Allen kind of stole his thunder through the season. Like I feel like Katron Allen now, there you see 134 yards on the ground. Like I feel like this young man might be the first Penn State running back selected, if they even opt for the draft. I don't know. These guys have eligibility left. One guy I do know is declaring for the draft is Tyler Warren. And we're going to talk about him after the break. We're going to get into what Abdul Carter's injury status is. I know if James Franklin said if he's healthy enough to go, he will roll. So we'll see. Two guys to me who are top 10, maybe top 5, dare I say. We'll talk about it after the break. Hit it, Cole. Back at it again. Ric Serritella here with the All Access Football College Football Playoff Draft Watch Show. January 2nd, 2025. We're all the way live. I saw somebody say the mic was hot. Do we have it back down a little bit? Let me see. I'm back. Are we good? Let me know if the audio is adjusted now. I don't want to be yelling in your ear too much. But when I talk about Tyler Warren, I got to be loud. I got to be loud because I got a man crush on Tyler Warren. Okay. To me, I don't know, like other than Travis Hunter, if I like anybody more than Tyler Warren. This guy can do it all. 2 big touchdowns in that Fiesta Bowl. Okay. And I don't think Penn State uses this guy enough. We saw the one game earlier in the season where he had like 18 catches. You know, they line him up in the backfield, wildcat, H-back, motion, wide receiver. This guy, though, is a train. He's a truck. And, you know, I was talking to my guy, Brian Baldinger, who we're going to be ramping up here shortly with the weekly NFL draft show. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But he thinks Tyler Warren is the next coming of Gronk. And I can see it, man. This guy is humongous. He's like 6'5", 6'6", 250. He's a brick house. He can block. He can catch. And I think the Brock Bowers effect only helps him. And how high did Brock go, Cole? I don't remember offhand. I thought he was close. Kyle Pitts went 6. Brock Bowers was close to top 5. I got news for you. I think Tyler Warren might go higher than all of them. In fact, I have Tyler Warren as a top 5 talent in this year's draft class. I would rather have Tyler Warren than any of the wide receivers in this year's draft. How about that? You want the hot take of the day? Give me Tyler Warren. Give me that guy. Bowers went 13th. Thank you. So Kyle Pitts went 6th and Bowers went 13th. Tyler Warren is at least a top 10 talent, if not a top 5 talent. And I think New England, if you're the Patriots, and, right now, if I'm New England, I'm locked in on Travis Hunter. But you might have a team like, the Giants that want to trade up to that spot. And if you can pick up and acquire picks, and I think the Giants are right there at 4. If you could stay in the top 5, pick up an extra first-round pick for next year and still get Tyler Warren, whoo, that'd be Drake May's best friend. That'd be an instant fan favorite. That'd be not too far away from New England, that Penn State commute. So, Tyler Warren, I think, is a guy that's going to go higher than people realize. Just saying. But you saw the 2 touchdowns in the Fiesta Bowl. He's got size. He's got strength. He's got pass catching ability. He can knock you on your ass. And he's tough as nails. I mean, this dude is going to escort you as he carries you to the end zone. That's who Tyler Warren is. Okay. One last thing on the Fiesta. Did you all Fiesta on the New Year's? One quick side note. I'll save that for after I wrap up. Abdul Carter, injury status. James Franklin said if he can play, he will go against Texas. To me, he's an athletic freak. My thing about Abdul Carter is he's like just about 6'2", maybe, if that. The arm length isn't going to be ideal, but man, he's going to run faster than half the running backs in Indianapolis. So, that is definitely something that NFL decision makers have to weigh and consider when you're playing the edge in the NFL. That arm length and that reach, that can matter. But I'll tell you, I mean, that guy's athleticism, his bend, his explosiveness, his get off, his first step, I don't think it matters. Okay. I don't think it matters. But there's some pretty good pass rushers in this draft class. And we're going to get to that next as we transition to the Rose Bowl. The one thing I wanted to say, am I the only one who stumbled upon the Antonio Brown Cracker Awards after the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Eve? I don't know how I got there. I don't know how I wound up there. But, man, it was funny. It was funny. What a show. And in some ways, I'm sorry I found it. In other ways, it was so appropriate for the midnight hour. Now, let's keep it moving. Ric Serritella here. By the way, check out allaccessfootball.com. We got a lot of new cool stuff. Is the audio not as hot, I hope? Let me know, guys. I don't know. This is our first show of the year. Oh, we got some comments going. I want to be interactive with you guys. It's been a while. I'm wiping off the mothballs here. It's been a while now, so we're trying to figure out the chat room features. Anybody who's listened to the old shows know I love being interactive with it, baby. So if you got a question, try to get it to us. Our guy Cole Glotzer, the super producer, holding it down. He'll try to relay it to me the best we can. But man, the Rose Bowl now. Let's start off with the pass rushers because we just talked about Abdul Carter. How about JT Tuimalu and Jack Sawyer? These guys have been playing with their heads on fire, hair on fire on the bookends of that Ohio State defense. And both of these guys, very highly rated by NFL scouts. We talked about a locked and loaded defensive end or edge rusher class, and we'll see 2 more of those later on today, like Michael Williams and Jalen Walker from Georgia are 2 guys who are bandied about as potential first-round picks, right? You've got, a couple guys, Landon Jackson of Arkansas, he'll be down at the Senior Bowl. You got Nick Skoughton of Texas A&M that people have in that conversation. Where do these Ohio State bookends fit? I mean, I think they're top 50 picks. I think they can creep up into the back end of the first round, but like how many edge rushers are going to go? We have not had a heavy influence of underclassmen declare yet. But I mean, JT Tuamalu, Jack Sawyer, again, each of them had a pair of sacks against Oregon. And Sawyer, I mean, this guy, like, he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed every day. Like, he's just pissed off and angry. And I love it. And I love it. And we talked about that Michigan loss late in the season. Nobody was more pissed off than Jack Sawyer. And that's, to me, those are the intangibles, right? When you're comparing two guys, and I'm not necessarily comparing the two Ohio State guys, but when you're in the war rooms and you have two evenly matched guys that you're considering, sometimes the intangibles come in to consideration, and Jack Sawyer's got him. This guy, I think he grew up right down the road from Ohio State, grew up a Buckeyes fan, and he wasn't having any of those flag shenanigans going on. But Ohio State and Oregon, both these teams littered with pro prospects. Oregon didn't make the wake-up call. I mean, we were waiting for it all season, right? 13-0. When's it coming? It almost came last time they faced Ohio State 32-31. I blinked, and Ohio State had 31, it felt like, by the end of the first quarter. That's because Will Howard is out there dropping bombs on them, man. What? Will Howard. Hello. I've come around, my friend. I've come around. And, these ancient pocket passing dinosaur quarterbacks, they might be a thing of the past. But I'm going back to the future with Will Howard, because I'm convinced now Will Howard, that deep ball accuracy, now he's got some weapons, but he's been doing it time and time again. Every time I watch him, it just feels like I'm watching a better version of Will Howard. Every time I see him, he just looks better from season to season. And then this year at Ohio State, you think Chip Kelly was soaking in the Kool-Aid after that win, by the way, against Oregon. But I tell you, I mean, what a blessing for Will Howard to play his final season in Columbus under Chip Kelly and to come out and boom, 45 yards to Jeremiah Smith. Boom, 42 yards to Emeka Ibuka. And it was over, guys. After that, boop, it was lights out. It was an early night for the Oregon Ducks. And a lot of it is because of Will Howard. And he did that too against Tennessee. He's done it all season long. This Will Howard now, I've got a question. In a weak quarterback class, just how high does a Will Howard go? Because let's be frank, after Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, we just don't know. We know Drew Aller is returning back to school. We know Quinn Ewers is probably going to take an NIL deal. That leaves you with, if you're in the back end of the first round and you're one of these teams looking for a quarterback of the future, you want Carson Beck, who's coming off the UCL throwing elbow injury, or you want Will Howard? I don't know. It's a good question. And I thought it was fascinating. Like, we ran a poll over at the NFL Draft Bible Twitter handle. Nobody seems to think Carson Beck is even a first-round pick anymore. Nobody. I mean, 10% of the poll thought Carson Beck would be a first-round guy. 60 or 70% of you thought he would be round 3 or later. I don't know. In a weak quarterback class, the NFL is a league of supply and demand. There's a lot of teams that are needy. So to me, Carson Beck, I think, is still a first-round guy at the back end of the first round. Somebody's going to roll the dice, take a shot. How early are they taking a shot on Will Howard? I think second round. I think he's a tier 2 quarterback. Going in to the game, I'll be honest. I thought Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard, their draft stock anyway, I thought was similar. After that game, I'm convinced Will Howard is the better prospect. He's got great size, 6'4". Dylan Gabriel's 5'11". You saw some of those batted balls. He could barely see over his offensive line. I know he started like 63 games, and that's cool and all. And I see what Bo Nix is doing, but he's not Bo Nix. And so to me, when you talk about tier 2 quarterbacks, I think Will Howard's in that conversation with Carson Beck. What do you think about that? Didn't see that coming. Welcome to the club, Rick. But I mean, hey, something needs to be said about the weapons he's throwing to, because when Ohio State, they are a wide receiver factory. Look at all the guys floating around, Olave and Garrett Wilson, and there's so many of them out there. I'm probably missing a bunch. But now you've got Emeka Egbuka, who to me is a first-round guy. I think he's a back-end first-round talent. And now this Jeremiah Smith, oh my God. I mean, woo! The he won't even be eligible to what, 2027? Unbelievable. He would be the number 1 wide receiver in this year's draft, I believe. And so he does have some weapons to throw to, but Will Howard takes full advantage of those opportunities. And to me, I think he's kind of showed the progress and development under Chip Kelly, who's got some NFL flair. So he's getting that preparation. This guy, he played 4 years at Kansas State. I think he started 3 or 4 years there. I mean, he's got a slew of games. You talk about experience, production, accuracy, deep ball, confidence, and his ability to spray the ball everywhere. I mean, Will Howard, to me, has come a long way. And he's another guy now that'll be down there in Mobile along with Dylan Gabriel. I love it. The cream always rises to the top. Okay. And there's going to be some good quarterbacks down there now. Will Howard separate himself? What if the Buckeyes win the Natty? Like I think they will. You think that might pad his resume, to boost his resume a little bit? And then you take that into the Senior Bowl. We've seen it, guys. We've seen Daniel Jones. We've seen Christian Ponder. We've seen E.J. Manuel elevate their draft stock into that first round. Just saying. 112 days, by the way, to the 2025 NFL Draft. Make sure you keep it locked over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got the 2025 NFL Draft Bible publication coming back. So if you're into prospects, we'll have over 500 scouting reports there. Go to allaccessfootball.com. We've also got a scouting seminar coming up with Brian Baldinger on January 23rd. We're going to break down the college football national championship, do some film room study. It's going to be a monthly scouting seminar workshop with my guy Baldy. We're going to break it down, teach you how to scout, and just pass forward our knowledge, everything that we've done. Like I said, I'm taking the mothballs off here. I've been stuck with Edmonton the last year working with the Elks. We've been cut loose, and now we're on a rampage with All Access Football the next 112 days. Balls to the wall coverage. Nobody's going to bring you more NFL draft talk than we are. And that's what we're going to do after our next commercial break. We got a quick break. We're going to come right back. We're working out our new environment here. I can't wait. I love talking football with you. One last note on Dylan Gabriel. And when we come back, we'll get into today's Sugar Bowl between Georgia and Notre Dame. But one last note on Dylan Gabriel. I do believe that, again, because of the weak quarterback class, Dylan Gabriel could still be a potential day 2 selection. If not, I think he gets drafted. And I remember I saw him in person at UCF before he went to Oklahoma. And even as a true freshman at UCF, like if you go back, Scotty Frost, I think, was the head coach. And I called Dylan Gabriel the mini microwave, because he's like this short, little, boxy looking guy, and just goes back and was whipping it down there. I'm trying to remember. They had a wide receiver that got drafted, but Dylan Gabriel can fling it now. I do have concerns about the height. He is maybe 5'11". And I don't know if he overcompensates with arm strength, like his arm is just okay. I don't see Dylan Gabriel as a starter, but I think somebody like you remember Ian Book from Notre Dame. I think he was like a 4th-round pick, if I'm not mistaken, 4th or 5th round, just because he started a lot of games, had experience, leadership, heady decision making. That's what Dylan Gabriel is going to bring to you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Please come back. Man, the hour of power is flying by. I promise you. We're going to talk about the Sugar Bowl prospects. If we have time, we'll get into the Gator Bowl that's scheduled for later on tonight. But you're tuned in to the All Access Football College Football Playoff Draft Show. Say that 3 times fast. January 2nd, 2025, our first broadcast of the new year. Happy New Year, by the way, if you're just joining in. And allaccessfootball.com is where it's at. It's your home for real football talk, year-round draft coverage, scouting seminars, the NFL Draft Bible publication. And oh, by the way, we'll be down at all the major all-star games starting next week at the Hula Bowl. So buckle up. We'll be right back right after this. Back at it again. All right, seeing the place to be here on this January 2nd, 2025. We are live with the All Access Football, College Football Playoff, NFL Draft Show. We're talking prospects. We are into now the Notre Dame Georgia game. Okay, breaking it down. Today, unfortunately, we had those tragic events down there on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and just terrible. I hate logging on to my social media account and seeing the images that are emerging out of New Orleans. So listen, we're just gonna hope we be better in 2025. I don't want to dwell on it too much because I want to keep you uplifted and positive in this new year and bring the spirit and bring the energy because we want more football, more bowl games, more college football playoffs. And Notre Dame and Georgia, we talked about Carson Beck. He will not be in this game. He's got the UCL surgery on his thrown elbow. He has declared for the NFL draft. In steps the backup, Gunnar Stockton, not as prolific through the air. It could maybe we've seen him run the ball a lot. We'll see what he brings to the table today. I think it's going to be a lot of running, though. Between Notre Dame and Georgia, they both have running style quarterbacks. Well, I shouldn't say that. Riley Leonard is a pocket passer, but he can run now. And when he runs, watch out because he is big and he is built sturdy. And I'll tell you what, the Daniel Jones comparison is coming. I hate to do the young man like that, but he played 4 years at Duke. And he's a tall quarterback who's smart and has got some mobility and can extend plays. Who does it remind you of? Man, Daniel Jones minus the turnovers, right? That's the positivity we're bringing into this new year. Riley Leonard, Daniel Jones minus the turnovers. Maybe not, maybe Daniel Jones has a little bit better arm strength. I don't know, maybe. But to me, like when I look at the full compass of what Riley Leonard brings to the table, this guy now is capable of winning some ball games. I think when you look at the way NFL offenses are constructed nowadays, you might be able to get it done with Riley Leonard. And I'll tell you another thing. Like if you go back, and I know that we have some diehard Draftnik fans and some draft purists, and I've been covering the draft now for over 2 decades. So some of you who are just finding us or discovering us here might not be aware. I know a lot of you are aware of the Blesto and the National and the scouting services that NFL teams use. I got news for you. No senior quarterback was rated higher than Riley Leonard coming into the year. This guy had very high grades. I mean, I'm talking about first round grades from NFL scouts coming into the season. So there's a lot of love in the scouting community for Riley Leonard, who's going to come in at about 6'4", at least 220, right? I don't have it here in front of me, but he's got size. He's smart. He can work the short to intermediate parts of the field, which is what 90% of the NFL is all about. Like, if Patrick Mahomes has Tyreek Hill, sure, he's playing pitch and catch. But otherwise, like Patrick Mahomes is so successful because he dominates the short to intermediate 205, Cole is telling me. Well, he feels and looks bigger than that. But he works that short to intermediate part of the field so well, and then he can tuck it and run it and move the chains and, short yardage and all that stuff. I mean, I think Riley, like when you're got a down quarterback class, and I say down because we saw 6 guys in the first round last year. We got 2 locks this year in Shedeur Sanders and Cameron Ward. And then after that, it's a crapshoot. Maybe Carson Beck, maybe Quinn Ewers, maybe not. Maybe Riley Leonard is the 3rd quarterback. Is that too far-fetched to think? Let's see what he does today against that studly Georgia defense, but I've liked what I've seen from Riley Leonard, and this guy's a weapon. And you'll see, like if you read the newsletter 2 days ago on Wednesday, the quotes on Riley Leonard are incredible. I mean, people have been singing his praise so much so that, we just talked about Will Howard. Maybe we need to put Riley Leonard into that tier 2 conversation. Maybe suddenly, like when you factor in the Carson Beck injury, maybe you're a team now at the back end of the first round, early second round, and you're saying, Carson Beck, Will Howard, Riley Leonard. It's possible. And so we're going to see that today. He's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, I believe. That's because Georgia's going to be coming. They're going to be coming fast. We mentioned Michael Williams. We mentioned Jalen Walker. These guys, like their stats don't jump off the stat page, but when you talk about NFL size, frame, bend around the edge, ability to get after the quarterback, these guys can do it all. And that's why they're being talked about as potential first-round picks. So, again, the college football playoffs are locked and loaded heavy with NFL talent. And we talked about Jeremiah Smith
earlier in the show, Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. This guy in next year's draft, I think he'll be eligible, is starting to grow on me with his tenacious, hard-nosed, tough running style. And I think it's going to be a handful for Georgia. You know, when you got Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love clicking on all cylinders, you know, maybe Bo Collins can hold on to a pass today. Can we do that, Bo? I don't mean to harp on him, but he's been suffering from a case of the dropsies. And so we hope Bo Collins maybe can catch a pass today, make a play. But I'll tell you what, I'm never going to count out this Georgia Bulldog team. I believe Kirby Smart is the best head football coach in college football. And there's something to be said for that. I think there's a lot to be said for coaching when it comes to the college football playoffs. Okay. So buckle up. That's going down at 4:30, I believe, 4 o'clock. We're just 2 hours away from kickoff. And then tonight, we've got the Gator Bowl. Where are you going to be for the Gator Bowl? You're going to be buckled up, hunkered down, ready to go for a little Jackson Dart action. I had to sneak in a little Jackson Dart talk here because he is going to take stage after everybody has performed. And he's kind of been like the forgotten quarterback in this year's draft class. Ole Miss, you know, a little bit of a roller coaster season. I had them pegged to win the national championship. I must admit, I had Ole Miss over the Texas Longhorns back in August. That was my championship prediction. But the Rebels, they just laid a big old goose egg in games that mattered. And, you know, it's funny, like in some ways, Al Davis was ahead of his time, anointing Lane Kiffin as this next young whiz kid head coach. But then, like, Lane Kiffin, did he ever really peak? Did he ever reach that potential that Al saw in him? I don't know. Like, this was the year. Saban's gone. Harbaugh's gone. It felt like Lane train time. You had the quarterback. You had the transfers. You had the bodies in the trenches. What happened, Lane? You're over there crying on Twitter too much. Put the phone down and do something else. But you know, we're gonna tune into the Gator Bowl. Malik Murphy, who transferred from Texas to Duke, we talked about it with Quinn Ewers, is not playing. He's now at Oregon State. Oh, by the way, he's already moved on. So Duke is going to be down. Ole Miss is like 17.5-point favorites coming into this game. Jackson Dart is going to play, I guess, in an effort to elevate his draft profile. And I will tell you, like, this is the time where teams are watching, NFL teams, that is, especially those NFL teams out of the playoff contention. Their focus starts on the draft. And I kid you not, man, these coaches and coordinators have some sway and have some influence in the war rooms. Okay? So, like, now you've got coordinators, coaches, NFL, in addition to the NFL personnel paying attention. This time of year is now where the coaches start to get involved. And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. I can coach that guy. I don't care about the character. Give me that guy. I can mold that lump of clay. And, you know, this is where things can get sticky. All right. And I will say this. I have Jackson Dart in the day 2 mix. I think, gun to my head right now, I'd say probably around 4, day 3, round 4, you start thinking about Jackson Dart. But it doesn't mean he's still got a Gator Bowl. I think he is also going to the Senior Bowl. He'll have the Combine. He'll have a pro day. So Jackson Dart will have 4 more opportunities to impress NFL scouts. And if he knocks it out of the park every single step of the way, that's what we call the NFL Draft Grand Slam. The bowl game, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, the pro day. Knock them all out of the park. Who's to say Jackson Dart can't be one of those dudes? All right, so we got that action today. And one last thought before we wrap up today's show. Speaking of assistant coaches, if you think they don't have sway or influence, what is going on with Ben Johnson and the Detroit Lions, or shall I say the Chicago Bears? I mean, this report is wild that Ryan Poles has soured on Ben Johnson because word is Ben Johnson wants to work with the assistant GM over there in Washington. And so if Ben Johnson were to come into Chicago, he might force out the GM. What a world we're living in. Whew. And I think this trend started, I think really not started, but I think it gained popularity or notoriety when Kyle Shanahan brought in Jonathan Lynch, where you had this trend now where we hire the head coach and then bring in the GM. But this is a weird one where there was already a sitting GM, but the incoming head coach that's being rumored is talking about bringing his own GM in. Meanwhile, the Lions, like they got all these injuries, and Ben Johnson's, talking about this, talking about that. You wonder where their focus is at. Dan Campbell saying, "Hey, this matchup this week with the Vikings isn't a playoff game." Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hello, Mr. Campbell. Did you get the memo? I'll send you over some soup, my friend, because it's getting cold out here at the Jersey Shore. But I just thought that was a fascinating situation. And, I wrote about Ryan Poles has no business at all being the Giants GM. And the laundry list is too long to get into. But that was a 7-10 win, 7-10 team last year with Justin Fields. They went backwards. That team went backwards. Okay, and they have done nothing but gone backwards under Ryan Poles. So I'm shocked that Ben Johnson has that kind of cachet. And in a way, I'm still surprised Ryan Poles is still there making these decisions. Or will he be? We shall see. We'll keep it covered every step of the way. We're going to do a lot of these broadcasts. Again, we had to dust off the mothballs and come into your living room. We appreciate you tuning in and bearing with us. Any technical difficulties, audio kinks that we're working through, we promise will be better the next time. And I just love talking football so much with you guys that we might be back sooner rather than later. But I will tell you this. We're ramping up soon, probably starting next week with Brian Baldinger of the NFL Network. Him and I are going to start bringing you a weekly NFL draft show here at allaccessfootball.com. I just got off the phone with him. He's digging into all the Hula Bowl and Senior Bowl prospects starting today. We're going to be back next week to talk about the Hula Bowl. We'll be down at the Tropical Bowl. We'll be at the East-West Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl. We'll be there, boots on the ground, balls to the wall coverage. Nobody will be at the combine, the draft, all that stuff. Pro days, nobody. When I tell you nobody is going to bring you more NFL draft coverage than us, I say it with my heart. I mean it. And if you don't believe me, go ask somebody. They will tell you, I am telling you the truth. I am telling you the truth. And I know some of you have missed me on Sirius XM the last couple of weeks. Not everybody's working these holidays like us. But we'll be back next Tuesday for our Sports Rage channel 159. What up, Big Law? I see you out there. I was wondering who's going to chime in with the comments, how we're going to get some comments. Great to see Big Law. I owe you a phone call, my man. I can't wait to catch up with you. But here we are. This is what we're doing now, talking NFL draft year-round. Again, the scouting scout school down in Mobile. If you want to get down with the Senior Bowl Scout School, you can email me, ric@allaccessfootball.com. We've changed from the NFL Draft Bible. It's ric@allaccessfootball.com. We've got the Senior Bowl Scout School. We got the Football Career Conference in Indianapolis, sponsored by Sports Management Worldwide. They do an incredible job there. And we'll be down at Veets down there in Mobile. I hope you come through for that event. There's so much stuff going on. I'll be back to bring it to you all and update you. But this has been the January 2nd, 2025 edition of the All Access Football College Football Playoff NFL Draft Watch Show. And we just got done with our first hour of power of the new year. I hope you are all buckled up, hunkered down, ready to go. Georgia, Notre Dame, who you got? Gator Bowl tonight. We'll be back at you very soon.